Happy Monday. Awesome. We are back talking about go high level strategies. You got Mickey Black, Jennifer J. What's happening, people? How's it going? How you doing?
It is going awesome. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. So today, last week we left them hanging. We're going to be talking about lead generation strategies. So we were talking about all the tactics, the features, the benefits over the last week or so. But now we're digging into some of the actual content-driven strategies to get leads. Everybody needs leads. That's the name of the game.
Yes, yes.
So there's different types of lead strategies we'll be talking about this week, but today we got talking about content. So people say the content is king these days. Everybody's, whether it be on the blogs, social platforms, videos, producing content to generate leads. So we're talking a little bit about that. So Jen, I know I see your videos and your social posts everywhere. What are some of the lead generation strategies you use your content for? How do you work it with specifically with high level?
Yeah, so just using high levels social planner to schedule out my content and just having those actions. So last week we touched on some of the automation on the back end as you're pushing content out and doing lead generation. The most important part is how you capture those leads on the back end. So, as I'm doing lead generation strategies, which some of them are like webinars. So, I do a webinar every month. We're having a webinar next week, right? Those are lead generation activities because you're going to accumulate leads. And everyone may not come to the webinar, but they signed up because they were interested. So if
Mm-hmm.
you continue on the back end to build that relationship via automation, then that's how you get into the conversion process of converting your lead.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. How you really kind of point that out, and I think
Mhm.
webinars are really one of the most powerful tools to create lead opportunities these days. I think they're probably number one on the list of effective tools. I use a blog a lot just because I write a lot. One of the things I like about it, because Go High Level, in addition to the websites, in addition to the funnels, it also hosts blogs. So you can use that for like your SEO optimization to really write rich content about what it is that you do and really start to drive consumers that are interested in finding out more information about that thing. And then once they start to engage, they'll take your, opinion as an authority because you've kind of positioned yourself like that in the marketplace. But also the one thing I think the killer thing that I've learned is doing blog posts and sending them to clients that you're already engaged with to say, hey, I just
Mm.
wrote this thing. It's really talking about something that I saw in your business. Check this out. Let me know if it helps. Let me know if it's of value. And a lot of times, what I'll do, even this past week, I had a client who um, was going to market and they had a particular strategy that they were interested in. And they were like, oh, I really don't know much about that. Went away, I wrote a whole blog post about it and then made a video about it and sent it to the client to really kind of take the time to step by step walk them through the thing because you don't always have time in person, right? It's tough to get a meeting. It's tough to get that time.
Mhm.
Even when you do get the time, they want to talk more than they want to listen. And so you can use that as a follow-up item to, everybody has a half hour at their convenience to engage with your blog or engage with your video at their leisure. So when they get up or they're about to go to bed or whatever time they have, they can engage at their own convenience. So that's one of the things that I thought was really cool about
Mhm.
about the content and being able to send that to people you're already connected with.
Yeah, that is really good. I was going to ask you, but you tied it in how you use your blogs to generate leads, and that is really good. Have you noticed that have you checked the analytics on your blogs to see, like, how many people are actually looking at it?
Yeah. So on average, anywhere between 100 and 150 people a day come to the blog
Mhm,
to just
mhm,
read or
mhm,
whatever. I'll notice spikes. So say for instance, if I do a case study on a client and that client has like an audience. So I can
mhm.
see a spike. Some days I'll see a spike up to 10,000 visits. If I'm doing something
Wow.
that's a
Mhm,
client, and then the client will share it on their social medias to say, oh,
mhm,
this is somebody talking about my brand. And then I'll drive
mhm,
it to an article that's on my website. I've seen as many as like 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 visits in a single day
mhm,
because people are really fascinated either with that brand and they're like, oh, what is that brand doing? Or that client is using it as promotion for themselves to say, oh, this is what's happening
mhm,
with my brand. But that's a way to really um, extend the reach because my eventual goal is to talk to 200 people a day consistently on one platform or another. So it's either a mix
mhm.
between video, newsletter, blog, what have you, but I want to at least be in front of 250 people a day. That's my benchmark.
That's awesome. Now, I noticed that, Neil Patel, with his blogs, he always has some kind of lead capture in his blogs where it's either go to the video or, sign up if you want to know about SEO services, or here's this download that pertains to this article. Do you have something like that in your blogs?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of downloads. Some favorites are like prompt packs. So I'll save my own prompts that I use and put them together in a package
Mhm,
so people can download them. Now
mhm,
I've also recently started packaging the slides that I'll use for presentations. So when I'm doing a webinar, now I'll give a download for the slide presentation. And then
mhm,
I'm also now looking to transition those into ebooks. So the eventual goal is to have like ebooks
mhm,
people can download or people can purchase, but they get to
mhm,
understand before they buy. So a lot of times our time is spent onboarding and people are like, well, how long does this take? And what does this encompass? Or what does this do for me?
mhm,
And all of that stuff.
mhm,
The content gets to answer those questions beforehand. So by the time they get on a phone call with you, they know. They know what they want. They
mhm,
know the value. They know the benefit. They've seen the case studies. And they're really
mhm,
just now trying to figure out how it works for them, what
mhm,
their personal details are. But I
mhm.
find it answers a lot of questions beforehand.
Awesome. That's amazing. So we talked about 2 lead generation activities today. So webinars and blogs. And one thing I failed to mention is when you do have webinars, people are thinking like, well, how do I get people on my webinar? If you have a particular audience that webinar is for, you can just personally reach out to them and invite them. So through via LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever platform you're on, you can reach out to them and say, hey, I'm having this webinar. I think it'd be great information for you. I want to personally invite you, and then give them the link. And then that way you can fill your webinar up with the people who it's meant for, as opposed to just blanketly posting on social
Yeah.
media and just generating traffic of people who you don't know if they're your audience, if they're just coming to be nosy, you don't know. But if
Yeah.
you intentionally and strategically reach out to people who are your audience, then you can have a bigger conversion, better chance of converting on whatever your offer is on your webinar. So that is how you use webinar and events to generate leads, because once people sign up, now you're able to nurture them to the webinar and then after.
Yeah, yeah, and the webinars are good. One of the other one of the other channels is I'll be remiss if we don't mention podcasts. So in terms of content,
Mhm,
everybody's making podcasts
mhm,
these days, and one of
mhm,
the things one of the things I heard in one group they were saying, OPP, other people's
mhm,
podcasts, in terms of getting that
mhm,
exponential exposure, and whether it's like other marketing people's podcast or other entrepreneur
mhm,
podcasts. A lot of people are sort of like making the tour, making the rounds. Have you done that? And
mhm,
what type of strategies do you use for either your own podcast or others?
mhm. So I'm stagnant with my podcast right now. But other people's podcasts are amazing because you find opportunities there that you wouldn't otherwise find. And then I know that that is a strategy. If you get on the podcast of someone who has a larger audience and they have your audience, people
Mm-hmm.
are going to naturally want to come and see what you have. So when you get on their podcast, if you give away something free, that's the opportunity to capture the leads from their audience, right? And I think that that's really amazing. Another one other than podcasts is summits.
Yeah.
Having
Speaking
virtual
engagements.
summits where you
Yeah.
get a
Ah.
collection of experts. Right, you get a collection of experts together. You host the summit though. So you host this,
Ah.
how you have all these leads that register for the summit, and it also will yield opportunities as well.
I like that. I
Mhm,
like that.
mhm.
All right. So I think we've given a number of strategies. So just to kind of recap. So we've got social content, and really kind of keeps you in front of your audience on a daily basis. We've got blogs. So if you're not that social, there's always blogs that are straightforward written content and that you can share online. It helps you with your SEO. We talked about video content a little bit, as well as podcasts, webinars, and then I think he had the killer with the summit. I think that's like the killer concept with the summit.
Mhm.
But anything else we want to touch on before we break out? No. The only other thing, only one other thing I wanted to get your opinion on
No, I
is
think we've given them enough
boom.
today.
today, today. So tomorrow we'll be back, but today, I think we've given them a pretty good share. We're talking about blogs, talking about social videos, and the big killer was the summit information. I think that's the killer. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Cheers.